The edge of the Andarian belt was a dangerous place. Shattered rocks and drifting debris floated silently in the void, remnants of battles long past. Human traders and scavengers avoided this part of space, not because it was worthless, but because survival here required skill, patience, and luck. Captain Elias Kane had all three. Elias leaned over the hull of a small shuttle he had salvaged, wiping his oily hands on a rag. His ship, the Iron Sparrow, was a patchwork of human and scavenged alien technology. Some said it looked like a puzzle someone had left unfinished, and maybe they were right. But it worked, and that was enough. He adjusted a panel with a careful twist, listening to the soft hum of the makeshift engine. The life of a scavenger was lonely, but Elias preferred it that way. No one told him what to do, and no one expected anything of him. Until today. A faint signal blinked on his console, a weak distress call. Elias frowned. The frequency was unusual, not like the simple distress signals of human ships. It had patterns he had never seen before, almost like it was thinking. Curiosity pricked at him. Most people would ignore it, but curiosity was what had kept Elias alive this long. He adjusted the sensors and traced the signal. The source was a small object tumbling slowly among the asteroids. At first, Elias thought it was another piece of wreckage. But then he saw the sleek lines of a hull, a starship unlike anything built by humans. It was curved and smooth with a surface that reflected the faint starlight in shades of blue and silver. Elias' heart quickened. Alien technology was rare. Working on it could make him a fortune, or at least provide parts that could keep the Iron Sparrow running for years. But more importantly, it was a challenge. He liked challenges. He fired up the shuttle's thrusters and carefully navigated toward the ship. Debris drifted in his path, but he moved with precision, weaving between rocks and floating metal shards. The alien ship was larger than it appeared, but badly damaged. Its hull was cracked, and one of its engines hung at a dangerous angle. Sparks flickered from the exposed wiring. Elias docked carefully, his fingers already itching for tools. He opened the hatch and peered inside. The interior was dimly lit with panels that glowed softly, unlike anything he had seen. And then he saw her. She was small, delicate-looking, yet there was an air of strength about her. Her skin shimmered faintly in the dim light, with a subtle purple tint that seemed to glow when the light touched it. Her eyes were deep violet, large and expressive, and they fixed on him with a mixture of fear and curiosity. Elias froze for a moment. He had seen humans in danger before, but this was different. She spoke, her voice melodic, almost musical, but he could not understand the words. Her hands moved in patterns, pointing at the damaged engine and then at herself. He realized she needed help. "Okay," he said slowly, using his hands to make gestures. "I can fix it." "I can help you." She tilted her head, studying him carefully. Then she nodded once, sharply. That was all the confirmation Elias needed. Over the next few hours, he worked methodically. The ship's core was badly damaged, but the technology was unlike anything he had seen. Panels responded to touch, wires rearranged themselves almost like they were alive, and strange lights pulsed in patterns that seemed to have meaning. Elias adapted, using his knowledge of human engineering to improvise repairs. The alien woman, Liara, as he would later learn her name, watched silently, occasionally pointing to a panel or making a gesture that guided him. At first, Elias was frustrated. Some of her gestures made no sense, but slowly a pattern emerged. Her species had a way of thinking differently, and Elias realized he would have to think differently too. He could not rely on brute force or standard methods. He had to be clever, and that was exactly what he loved. As he worked, he noticed something else. Liara was not afraid of him. She seemed to trust him, even though they had never spoken a word in a language they both understood. Her trust was careful, measured, but real. Elias felt a strange warmth in his chest. He had worked on ships before, saved lives, but this felt different. Hours passed, or maybe it was a day. Time seemed to blur. The asteroid field outside shimmered with the light of distant stars. Elias finally sat back, wiping sweat from his brow. The repairs were not complete, but the ship was stabilizing. Liara moved closer, her hand brushing against a panel that now glowed steadily. She made a sound, soft and musical, and then pointed at him. Elias understood enough to nod. She was thanking him in her own way. But then a warning flashed across his console. A local patrol, human scavengers, had detected activity. They were not friendly. They saw the alien ship and Liara as valuable cargo, and they would not negotiate. Elias had to act fast. He helped Liara into a small escape pod he had repaired, one that could fit within the damaged ship but was independent enough to launch safely. Together, they prepared for launch, every movement tense, every second critical. As they lifted off, Elias watched the asteroid field drift by. Debris brushed past the hull and sparks flew as old wreckage collided with his shuttle. But they made it through, emerging into open space. Liara looked at him then, her eyes wide, almost glowing. She pressed her hand to the glass separating them, and he pressed his in return. There was a connection there, unspoken, something deeper than words. Elias knew this was only the beginning. The ship was far from fully repaired. The galaxy was dangerous, filled with raiders, bounty hunters, and worse. But he also knew that helping Liara had changed something. He had not just repaired a ship. He had begun a journey into the unknown, into a world where human ingenuity could meet alien brilliance. He smiled faintly. It would be hard. It would be dangerous. But for the first time in a long time, he felt alive. And somewhere deep inside, he wondered what Liara would do once her ship was fully repaired. Would she leave him behind, returning to a world he could only imagine? Or would she reward him in a way he could never expect? The stars stretched endlessly before him, silent witnesses to the start of an adventure that would test the limits of humanity, courage, and trust. Elias tightened his grip on the controls, eyes fixed on the glowing horizon. The first step was over. The rest was waiting. The small escape pod drifted silently through space. Outside, the stars stretched in every direction, endless points of light in the black void. Inside, Elias Kane and Liara sat in tense silence, the hum of the pod's engine the only sound. Elias stole a glance at her. She had removed her hood, revealing long, shimmering hair that seemed to flow like liquid violet in the dim light. Her eyes, still wide and alert, studied the controls with careful attention. Even without understanding her words, Elias felt her intelligence. It radiated from her like a force he could almost touch. He tapped the console beside him. "We'll need to reach a safe place to repair your ship. I can't do much out here." His voice was calm, but he knew the reality. The asteroid field they had escaped from was a human and alien no-man's land. No station, no trader would welcome them, not without trouble. Liara tilted her head, making soft sounds. Elias shook his head slightly. No words, not yet. But she made gestures, pointing at a holographic map that sprang to life above her console. He watched as she traced a route with her finger, careful, deliberate, avoiding certain sectors of space. He nodded slowly. "I see. We'll follow your path." The pod moved with surprising agility, weaving between drifting asteroids and debris from forgotten battles. Elias marveled at her engineering. Even damaged, her ship's navigation systems were far beyond anything humans had built. He made mental notes, quietly studying every panel, every readout. This was more than technology, it was art. When they finally reached a small, hidden station on the edge of a gas giant, Elias felt relief wash over him. The station was abandoned, or nearly so, silent, with only the hum of old engines keeping it alive. Here he could work in peace, and perhaps Liara's ship could be repaired. They docked carefully. Elias hopped out first, carrying tools and motioned for Liara to follow. She moved gracefully, almost silently, but there was a caution in her steps. She was wary of this station, as if it held memories of danger. Elias did not press the question. He had learned that alien beings often held secrets not meant to be spoken immediately. The first step was assessing the damage. Liara's ship was worse than he had imagined. The core had been compromised, energy conduits severed, and the hull breached in multiple places. But what struck Elias most was the design. Every part seemed to connect to something else in subtle, intricate ways. Nothing was wasted, nothing was arbitrary. Every curve, every panel had a purpose. "Humans wouldn't think like this," Elias muttered. "We depatch it, slap it together, and hope it flies." Liara made a soft sound and pointed at a panel. She tapped it gently. A small holographic diagram emerged, highlighting the conduits and energy flows. Elias frowned. He did not understand it completely, but he could see the logic. "Okay," he said, "we'll do it your way as best as I can." And so began the work. Days passed, or perhaps it was a week. Time felt strange inside the station. Elias worked tirelessly, adjusting, rewiring, and adapting. He used human tools to manipulate alien circuits, often improvising parts that did not exist in either human or alien design. Liara watched, guiding him with gestures, sometimes touching a panel to indicate a better approach. It was exhausting, but Elias felt alive. This was not just repairing a ship. It was a puzzle, a challenge, a test of human creativity against alien sophistication. And with every success, with every spark that ran correctly through her conduits, he felt a connection to Liara deepen. She rarely spoke words he could understand, but her trust was clear. She allowed him to handle parts of her ship that even she did not touch. It was a bond formed in silence, a respect that needed no words. One evening, as the station's artificial lights cast long shadows, Elias leaned back against a wall, his arms sore and eyes heavy. Liara approached him, her steps quiet, and placed a small device in his hands. It was delicate, glowing faintly. He examined it. "What is this?" he asked. Liara made a soft, melodic sound and pointed at him, then at the device, and then back at herself. Elias understood enough. It was a gift, a token, not wealth, not technology, but a symbol. He smiled faintly. "I appreciate it, thank you." She nodded, then turned back to the ship, tapping a panel as if urging him to continue. The next challenge came unexpectedly. A faint tremor ran through the station. Elias froze. He scanned the sensors. Raiders. Human scavengers attracted by the energy signatures of Liara's ship were approaching. "We need to hurry," Elias muttered, rolling up his sleeves. Liara's eyes widened, and she pressed her hand against a panel, initiating emergency defensive protocols. The station shuddered as automated turrets activated. Elias had never seen technology like this before. The turrets were intelligent, adjusting positions, tracking trajectories automatically. The raiders arrived quickly in small, fast ships. They fired, but the station's defenses were surprisingly effective. Elias took a deep breath and grabbed his plasma rifle, moving to defend the dock. He fired at the incoming ships, careful to avoid hitting Liara or the station's fragile systems. The battle was tense, each shot a test of his skill. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and debris scattered. Liara worked silently at the controls, keeping her ship stable, adjusting energy flows and reinforcing shields. Hours passed. The raiders, frustrated by the station's defenses and Elias' marksmanship, finally retreated. The silence that followed was heavy, but Elias felt a surge of relief. They had survived, and more importantly, Liara's ship had remained intact. Exhausted, Elias collapsed into a chair. Liara approached him again, placing her hand gently on his shoulder. This time her gesture was different. It was gratitude, yes, but also trust and perhaps something more. "You've saved me," she said, finally using words he could understand. Her voice was soft, almost musical. Elias felt a shiver run down his spine. "And you've taught me," he replied, smiling faintly. "That human ingenuity can meet alien brilliance and maybe even improve it." Liara tilted her head, as if considering his words, then nodded. Over the next few days, they continued the repair. Elias learned more about her technology, adapting human methods to fit alien logic. Liara, in turn, seemed to appreciate his creativity. Together, they completed repairs on the ship's core, recalibrated its energy conduits, and restored its engines to full function. By the time the last panel clicked into place, the ship glowed with life. Lights pulsed rhythmically, panels hummed softly, and energy flowed seamlessly through every system. Elias stepped back, wiping sweat from his brow. "It's done," he said quietly. Liara's eyes shone. She reached out, touching the hull gently, and then turned to Elias, her expression almost impossible to read. But there was pride, gratitude, and something else, an acknowledgement that he had done more than repair a ship. He had formed a bond, bridged a gap between species, and proven that human skill could match alien technology. Elias felt a rare sense of satisfaction. He had faced danger, complexity, and the unknown, and he had prevailed. But as he watched Liara prepare her ship for launch, he felt a stir of curiosity and anxiety. What would happen next? Would she leave immediately? Would there be a reward, a debt, or something unexpected? The stars outside seemed to wait with him, silent witnesses to the bond that had formed in a small, hidden station on the edge of the galaxy. Elias knew one thing for certain: this adventure was far from over. And deep inside, he wondered if the reward for his efforts would be something beyond technology or wealth, something that might change his life forever. The repaired starship gleamed under the soft lights of the hidden station. Its smooth panels reflected the dim glow of distant stars, and its engines hummed with quiet power, alive once again. Elia's cane stood beside it, taking in the transformation. It was more than repaired. It was revitalized, almost elegant, a combination of alien sophistication and his own human ingenuity. Liara moved inside her ship, checking systems with careful precision. Her fingers danced across touch-sensitive panels, and subtle lights responded to her touch. She paused at one point, turning to Elias with her violet eyes, deep and expressive. He had never seen gratitude look so alive. "You've done more than I expected," she said finally, her voice melodic. "You've understood." Elias smiled faintly. "I did what I could. Your technology is unlike anything I've ever seen. I had to adapt." She nodded, her expression thoughtful. Then she gestured for him to follow her onto the ship's main deck. Hesitant but curious, Elias stepped inside. The interior was unlike any human ship he had ever entered. Smooth surfaces curved naturally, almost organic, yet every system seemed perfectly precise. Holographic panels floated in midair, showing energy flows, star charts, and systems diagnostics. Elias studied them in awe, trying to grasp even a fraction of their complexity. Liara motioned for him to touch one of the panels. As his fingers brushed it, a holographic display changed, showing a network of energy conduits interlaced with adaptive controls. The system responded to him as if it were alive, adjusting flows and configurations. "It recognizes you," he said, amazed. "Like it trusts me." Liara nodded. "Human intuition is powerful. Your creativity complements technology that even my people rarely manipulate in this way." Elias felt a strange pride. Humans were not the most advanced species in the galaxy, not in raw technology. But ingenuity, adaptability, and courage, these were strengths no machine could replicate. He realized that Liara's ship, perfect as it was, needed his human perspective to reach its full potential. Then she led him to a small compartment. Inside was a device unlike anything human or alien. It was delicate, glowing faintly with patterns that seemed to shift when observed. "This is your reward," Liara said, her tone careful but serious. "Not gold, not weaponry, not influence. Knowledge." Elias frowned, unsure what she meant. She gestured for him to hold the device. When he did, it pulsed softly in his hands, and he suddenly understood. It was a tool for merging human ingenuity with alien technology. Schematics, energy patterns, and adaptive algorithms flowed into his mind, integrating with his understanding of engineering and mechanics. With this, he could take human inventions to levels previously impossible, creating systems that combined human creativity with alien precision. He looked at her, astonished. This is incredible, but why give it to me?" Liara's eyes softened. "Because you earned it. You showed courage, patience, and understanding. You adapted, not just repaired. You are human, and your kind deserves to reach further than your current limits." Elias felt a deep warmth inside. He had expected payment, maybe gratitude, maybe even a story to tell. But this was more than any treasure. It was the power to change his people's place in the galaxy. Before he could respond, the ship's sensors beeped. A faint signal approached. Another patrol, not hostile but curious. Liara motioned to Elias. "They will notice the energy signature soon. You must leave quickly." Elias nodded. He had grown used to danger in his life as a scavenger, but this was different. Now he carried knowledge that could shift humanity's path. He had to protect it. Liara activated the ship's engines. The starship hummed, energy flowing smoothly through every system. Lights danced along the hull as if celebrating life itself. Elias felt a thrill of excitement. He had seen ships, repaired ships, even built systems, but never had he been part of something so alive. "Will you return?" he asked. His voice carried a note of hope he could not hide. Liara looked at him, thoughtful. "Perhaps. The galaxy is vast and humans are interesting." "You may see me again." She gestured for him to step back. He moved, watching as the ship lifted from the station. Engines flared, and with a graceful push, it soared into space, leaving the hidden station behind. Elias followed in his shuttle, keeping a careful distance, marveling at the sleekness and elegance of her craft. As they traveled, Liara's voice spoke again, this time through a simple translator device she handed him before departure. "Use what you have learned wisely. Your kind has potential greater than you imagine." Elias nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. This knowledge was not just for him, it was a gift for humanity. With it, humans could explore further, build better, and survive in ways they had never imagined. Days passed as they navigated the outskirts of human space. Elias studied the device, experimenting with small projects, testing its integration with his own engineering. Each success filled him with pride and excitement. Liara watched, occasionally offering guidance, her presence a steady support even if she spoke little. Their journey was not without danger. Small raider ships pursued them briefly, curious about the energy signatures. But Liara's repaired ship moved with unmatched precision, outmaneuvering and evading attacks effortlessly. Elias realized that human adaptability had given her ship new capabilities, allowing them to face threats even her people might have avoided. Through it all, a bond grew between them, not romantic, not simple friendship, but something deeper, mutual respect, understanding, and trust. Elias had saved her life, yes, but she had also taught him lessons about patience, creativity, and seeing the world differently. He felt fortunate to have shared this moment in the vast galaxy. Finally, after days of travel, they reached a quiet sector where Liara's ship could safely depart. Elias guided her to a safe orbit, watching the engines flare as she prepared to jump to faster-than-light travel. Before she left, she opened a small hatch, passing him a tiny sphere. It glowed softly, much like the device she had given him earlier. "For emergencies," she said simply. "Use it wisely. It will call me if truly needed." Elias held the sphere carefully. He felt the weight, not heavy but significant. It was a link, a promise, a reminder that humans were capable of forming bonds with the most advanced beings in the galaxy. Liara touched his shoulder briefly, then stepped onto her ship. She nodded once, engines humming, and then she was gone, leaving only a streak of light behind. Elias stood alone, staring at the fading trail. His heart was full of excitement, curiosity, and a hint of sadness. She was gone for now. But the gift she had given him, the knowledge, the bond, and the trust would remain forever. He looked at the stars, endless and silent. He thought of the galaxy waiting to be explored, of humans reaching beyond their limits, of ingenuity meeting opportunity. For the first time, Elias felt the true power of being human, the ability to create, adapt, and rise to challenges no one else could. Returning to his shuttle, he activated the device, running small tests. Patterns danced, lights shifted, and systems aligned in ways humans had never seen before. Elias grinned. He could see the possibilities, ships, tools, technologies that could change the future. And deep down, he knew one thing. Humanity had been given a chance to prove itself among the stars, not by strength alone, but by courage, creativity, and heart. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and full of unknowns, but Elias Kane had faced it, adapted, and survived. And now, armed with alien knowledge and human ingenuity, he would help humanity step into a brighter, bolder future. As he soared back toward the edges of human space, the stars stretched endlessly before him. Each point of light was a reminder of the adventure that had begun with a broken starship, a stranded alien, and the courage to help. The journey was just beginning. And somewhere far across the galaxy, Liara smiled, knowing she had found a human worthy of trust, and perhaps in time an ally who could change the course of the stars.